Keller Williams is being sued by former KW agents over the changes that were made on the profit share system. This is something that is not only going to impact KW clearly, because they're seeking a class action lawsuit. So it's going to obviously impact KW regardless of what ends up happening. But beyond that, what can this mean for other brokerages that operate a similar model? Not exact, but a similar model. Think eXp Realty, think Real, think any other brokerage out there that operates a system similar to this. So we're going to investigate that today, and we're going to go through what's being alleged and why this even came to be altogether. This article is courtesy of Inman.com. Check them out. Former KW agents sue over profit share changes. Former KW agent Jerry Moulder, who served with the brokerage from 2002 to 2021, filed a complaint March 22nd seeking class action status in the district court for the Western District of Texas at San Antonio against Keller Williams Realty. The complaint seeks $250 million in damages, alleges breach of contract and unjust enrichment, and seeks an order from the court rolling back changes announced last summer. So $250 million, that's what they're after in terms of this particular class action suit. A day later, March 23rd, David Becker, who was a KW agent from the similar timeline, 2003 to 2011, filed a nearly identical complaint without the damages figure in the U.S. District Court, Eastern District of Missouri at St. Louis against KW with similar allegations, but also requested a preliminary injunction specifically prohibiting the redistribution of disputed payments under the profit share program. So there's several components to this. Is this the same law firm that is representing both of these agents? Yes, it is. That's why they were so efficient in the way that they were filing. The complaint is seeking $250 million in damages and is trying to get a class action suit to go after KW. And then they're also seeking a preliminary injunction to say, hey, pause the checks, pause these direct deposits, pause everything right now, because as money is going out, that means less money that you could potentially pay us in the event that you're found liable. So they're saying stop this program altogether until this gets resolved. Now, is that going to happen? We don't know. This was just filed, but that's essentially what they're asking for. Now, why did this come to be? What ended up happening? Now, I think it's important to understand what the profit share model is. From a high level, it's a way for agents to grow with the company. It's a way for the company to reward agents to help the company grow. It's another way of saying the same thing, where agents that either recruit, invite, attract, whatever verbiage you want to use, that is influential in another agent broker joining the brokerage, that agent that was influential in attracting, recruiting, whatever you want to call it, again, it doesn't matter. People use different verbiage, and it's essentially recruiting. Brings agents, the agent that was responsible for helping the brokerage grow by attracting people, by recruiting agents, they get compensated in the form of profit share. So that's a model that KW brought to the forefront when they first started, and it was wildly successful. It's one of the main reasons why KW is the largest brokerage by agent count across the world. So that's how KW grows so quickly, because you're incentivizing agents to bring on other agents. And not only does the agent that directly recruited that incoming agent, not only do they benefit from their efforts, but they also benefit from the efforts of the next recruit and the next recruit up to 7 levels. So that's the model. Now, from a profit share perspective, after the expenses are done, after everything gets paid out, there's a certain profit that they can benefit from. So this is not revenue share. This is not off the top. This is after all the expenses are out of the way, that the agent now gets compensated. So again, if you help the company grow, the company's going to help you grow as well. So it's a very beneficial program altogether. And again, it's one of the main reasons that KW grew so quickly. Well, in 2020, there were certain modifications that were being made, and that's what they're alluding to here in the following paragraph. In February 2020, KW announced that associates who joined the real estate franchisor on or after April 1st of 2020 and subsequently jumped ship to a competitor would no longer be able to receive profit shares from the company's lifelong revenue program. Sorry, I had to turn off my heater. That policy was not retroactive and did not apply to agents who joined before that date. So there were some changes that were being made. There was something that from the model itself, anytime you introduce a model like this, there's unintended consequences that happen in the future. So at this point, KW had a few decades under its belt of being in existence. Well, the model becomes less viable. The model experiences more competition, aka in 2020, at this point, EXP had grown just exponentially. And at this point, real brokerage was just starting to become a blip on the radar, if you will. So KW needed to make some changes in order to make the program more sustainable and more appealing to KW agents, so they weren't so quick to say, well, you know what? I know I have all this stuff here already in KW. Well, let me go over here and try to build on the EXP side of things and do the exact same thing, right? So they already had their nest egg, if you will, and we're going over here. So this was used to curtail that. Well, let's go to the next point. So that was one main change. Now, another big change ended up happening later on. All right, so that change in August at KW, that change in August at KW's Mega Agent Camp event in Austin, Texas, the company's international voted to change its profit share distribution policy so that vested agents who join KW profit share and who actively compete with KW agents have their profit share cut from 100% to 5%. So essentially, if you are receiving all this profit share and you go and compete are competing against the interest of yourself in a way, or your former self, the KW brand, well, we don't see that you should be receiving the entire compensation. So this is where a lot of the allegations are coming from. So that was something that happened in 2020. That was a major change. Now, let's see here. All right, so that's what I wanted to cover there. Let me make sure I didn't miss that part. Okay, so this is something that's very important. The complaints allege KW anticipated that the changes in his profit share program were a breach of contract, and so when the IALC, which is their leadership committee, changed the program in August, the council also added a provision to the terms of the program that would ensure the program's funds could be used to defend the change in court. So basically, what they're alleging here, what the two agents are alleging here is, well, they obviously knew that they were going to get some pushback, that they were going to get some blowback, and they changed the bylaws. Basically, they changed the provisions and the terms of the program to where if anything were to arise from the change or just altogether to that could affect this particular program, then the profit share itself could be used to defend that. That's what they're alleging here. So in a way, what they're trying to do is they're trying to bake in a level of culpability, a level of them understanding that this was going to have some repercussions, some negative repercussions. So they're alluding to that fact that, hey, you knew that what you were doing was wrong, and now you're trying to use the program itself to defend itself, which is in and of itself problematic, because that leads to number two, there's going to be less profit share to go around. So forecasting into a settlement, because if this is allowed to continue, you're not going to get whatever they're alleging here, but they are going to get a settlement, if you will. So if this were to go on to continue and there's a settlement involved, well, there's a huge chunk that would eat into the profit sharing component, where that means there's less of the pie to go to the actual people that are still part of KW and are helping that company grow from that respect. Then it goes on to have some additional provisions of the particular agreement. Now, in and of itself, what do I think about the move that KW made from a business perspective? I understand why they had to make it. Again, the program was not as appealing as it was in the past. You had additional competitors in 2020 that you did back when you first started the program. So that's obvious. Again, eXp Realty at that point was reaching high upon high upon high. It was reaching 100% growth year over year from agent count, the same growth that Real is experiencing right now, the same growth that Epic and LPT, these similar models that are cloud-based and also have a component of revenue or profit being shared back to its agent. So with some additional competition, you have to make some changes. So from a business perspective, I understand it. Now, also from a contractual perspective, I could also see the agents having obviously not be happy that we're affected in a negative sense, but I could also see them having a claim, considering that that's not what you agreed to. That's not what you signed on the dotted line for. And they were, a word that gets used here frequently is induced. They were induced to perform, and these were the rules of the game, and we played by the rules of the game. And now you're going retroactively and saying, hey, that's not going to fly. Right. So the one example that I've heard I've been watching a lot of attorney videos. One example that they've been saying, that was I forget the attorney that brought this up as an example, but assume that the speed limit in front of your house is, let's just say 25 miles per hour. Well, let's say 40 miles per hour. And you've been going 40 miles per hour, 40 miles per hour, 40 miles per hour. Well, at some point in the future, it changes to 30 miles per hour. The change itself, in and of itself, it's not a bad thing. It's something that might help keep your neighborhood safer. It might help reduce accidents and everything. So the change in and of itself is not bad. Where it becomes problematic is when you go back retroactively. Well, hey, remember all those times that you passed in front of your house at 40 miles per hour? Because at that time, that was the law. Those were the regulations. That was the rules of the game. Well, now you're actually going to be fined for that, because now it's 30%. I'm sorry, 30%. Now it's 30 miles per hour. So back in the day, I know that you were going by the 40 mile per hour rule, but now it's 30 miles per hour. So we're going to assess you retroactively for that. We're going to fine you for that. That's where it becomes problematic. And that's essentially what they're alluding to here. Now, why do I bring this up? Well, one, it's an interesting topic altogether. I want to get your thoughts, but also think about the other models, right? Think about the EXPs, think about the Reals, think about the Epics, LPTs, and all the other brokerages that are gaining some steam in similar models where they're offering compensation to agents. This is something that's I don't even see this as a far leap. I don't see this as a conspiracy theory. I don't even see this as a theory. I think that it's going to happen. I feel once the models change, because full disclosure, I am part of EXP Realty. Once the models change slightly, they've changed in a major way recently as well. Once that changes, there's going to be some affected parties that typically are going to be receiving the biggest haircut, are receiving the biggest impact from a monetary perspective, that I don't see them not bringing up similar suits. And just it's not a far leap for me to make that I guess I don't want to say prediction, but it's just something that I do think that as soon as things change with any one of these brokerages, not just the one that I just mentioned, but any one of these brokerages, when you change compensation, when you are changing the rules of the game, regardless of how well you protected yourself on the front end from the contract perspective, at this point, the individuals that are receiving a large portion of this type of income, well, if they're receiving any type of haircut, they are going to get upset. They are going to have bigger pockets to fight this type of thing, right? So the same thing that KW is experiencing right now, as soon as something changes or something has already changed from these other brokerages, these agents that were affected to the tunes of either tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars in their particular compensation plan. As an example, EXP Realty has revenue share, so it's off the top. The moment that something changes from that framework, and the individuals that are accustomed to getting $50,000 a month, $100,000 a month, $500,000 a month, because they get that high up to $1 million a month, when something changes radically that impacts them, because that money is going to essentially be redistributed to the other agents, I don't see them not having an issue with it. I don't see them not fighting on whether it's right or wrong, I don't see them not fighting and bringing up similar suits to those brokerages. So let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think that the move that KW made to begin with was just? Were you impacted? Do you have KW experience? Let me know in the comment section down below, and also what you think can potentially happen to other brokerages that operate similar models. Let me know in the comment section down below. I'll see you on the next one.